Hey, what's up, everyone? Thank you for staying with us as we continue to try to bring you the best content we can. This will be our 8th episode of Life Without Limits, and it has been a rewarding but challenging experience to say the least. But enough about us. Today we have a special guest. She is someone I have known for about 6 years. She is a professional makeup artist and an advocate to put a stop to human trafficking, Raquel Giesler. Hey, Raquel, how are you doing?
What's up? I'm doing great.
That's awesome.
Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for coming. How's life been treating you during the pandemic?
Life has been crazy because I have a 2-year-old.
Oh, wow.
And I just had a baby in December. So, yeah, just stay-at-home mom, doing the life with those two.
What was that like during a pandemic?
It was definitely challenging at first because, my daughter, she's very outgoing. She loves the outdoors. She loves parks and stuff. So at first, we were still kind of like staying in, not going into parks and stuff. And so trying to find different activities for her to be engaged in. It was tough. It was tough. So Cocomelon was my savior on Netflix.
Cocomelon's a lot of people's savior. My daughter loves Cocomelon.
Right?
She's obsessed.
And how? Those babies are creepy.
I know, right? And all they
funny.
do is sing. It's like sing along the same song. I could probably sing some Cocomelon songs off the top of my head. What about having a baby during the pandemic? How was that kind of like?
Well, I didn't have her till December, so she's only 5 months. But
I'm saying as far as
being pregnant.
Yeah, was Charlie allowed in the room? How did that all work?
Yeah. Towards the middle of my pregnancy, that's when things kind of shifted because the numbers, I guess, were going down or whatever. And so the doctor was like, okay, now we are allowing your significant other to come, but nobody else. And so I was like, okay, at least he can come. And because that would be devastating, not having him there and doing everything by myself. And plus I had a C-section. This would be my second C-section. So yeah, definitely needed somebody there with me. And
no, for sure.
But it was kind of crazy because he also he's like a videographer, and he did a wedding around the time where I was almost due, and he did the wedding 9 hours away. So I was like, Charlie, you have to you have to just go and come right back and have nothing happen to you. But yeah, it ended up working out. She came right on time. Actually, the scheduled date where I was supposed to have her, which is December 7th, she actually came on her own. So I started having contractions and early that morning. And so, yeah, she was definitely ready. And, but yeah, we stayed in the hospital by ourselves for recovery for 3 days. And then we got home, and
you had to wear a mask the whole time in there.
No, actually, you don't have to wear a mask. We didn't have to wear masks. The nurses did, but we were kind of in quarantine in our room, so there was nobody coming in and out but them. So they let us kind of just breathe fresh air.
Nice, that's good. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of talk about you a little bit. I know we don't talk much in the time that we've known each other, but one thing I do know about you is that you do makeup professionally. So can you tell us a little bit more about that? And what got you started? And
yeah. So it's funny because I never actually pictured myself to be a makeup artist.
Really? I always see you as this kind of, since I've known you, I've always seen you as this super creative person.
I know. Well, see, and that's been my whole life. I've always been artistic. I love to draw, paint, all that since I was little. And my passion growing up actually was to become a crime scene investigator. Wow. So that's why I was I never really saw myself in this path. But I was working at Foot Locker in the mall, and then I kept seeing these girls come in with these MAC bags, and I was like, what is MAC? What is that?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, it's a makeup brand in Macy's. So I went over there, checked them out, and it was the brand of the time. Now it's Sephora and stuff like that, but it was the brand of its time. This was when MAC was at its peak. All of the artists were express yourselves, and they really had no boundaries with makeup. So I was like, wow, this looks very interesting. They don't look like the other counters. And so I applied. I didn't have any experience on anybody else. I just did my own makeup. And at the time, it's kind of like if you had experience, it was good. If not, okay, let me see your artistic side. So I put a portfolio down in like a photo album, and I presented it, and I said, hey, I'd like to work here. What positions do you have? And they gave me a chance. So the interview process was, you had to do makeup on a client or like a model that you brought in. And so I was so nervous. I brought my mom because I didn't know anybody else. And we had to do makeup on her in a certain amount of time. And the only reason my boss said she hired me was because I picked a mature model. Which was my mom, and she's like, because anybody can do makeup on a 15-year-old girl with no acne,
Exactly.
I was like, oh my God. So she gave me a chance, and I literally stuck with it for 5 years. So
working at Mac.
Yeah, it was the best time of my life. I have still friends from like working years ago. And yeah, I just grew all my knowledge to become a makeup artist. I have experience working on different skin tones and skin types and older people, younger people, being creative, looking natural. So I have like a range of, experience.
Well, that's crazy because I didn't know that you'd like weren't really interested in this path before, and you just kind of saw the artistic side behind it.
Yeah,
and were like, that looks cool.
It was super fun. And like towards the end of my career, I became closer to more of being a trainer. So there's like two different paths. You can be the training side, or you can do like the retail side, which is managing a counter and stuff. And the trainer and artistic side of things, you train the artists on the upcoming makeup trends. You get to go on fashion weeks and go on runway shows and do behind the scenes. You get to create the looks for runway shows depending on your tier level and stuff. So, but I could not do the retail anymore. At that point, I was already in retail for like 8 years because, Foot Locker before. And I was just missing out on a lot of family time and a lot of family trips. And I was like, I know enough to make my own business and become a freelancer. So that's when I got out of it and then rolled into my own thing.
Nice. So what is it about makeup that like gets you excited? What is it about? Because I feel like it's definitely an art form if you can do it well. Yeah. But I know a lot of people just say, oh, it's just makeup. So like,
well,
do you get that a lot?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think a lot of people that know me know that I'm artistic, so they just kind of accept it because I wear like all kinds of crazy stuff sometimes. And the thing that I love most about it is the creativity. Like you can pretty much be whoever you want. On any given day. I could be very natural one day and then go out and like be a drag queen because I want to. Yeah. And I also love, that's as far as me personally, but as far as like doing it on clients and stuff, I love making women feel beautiful, like in my chair. Like I've had anybody from like cancer patients, that don't have eyebrows, that, just have been through it, obviously, that get their makeup done and they look in the mirror and they're just sobbing because they're like, this is the first time I've looked like this in a while. And that brings me life. Yeah, that brings me life. And then I've had even like women who have just been recently divorced or, that are feeling low and, get their makeup done. They feel pretty and confident. And that's what I love about that perspective of my job.
That's awesome. So what's something that you could compare for like our male listeners? Like what would be like, is it haircut for men that like, is like equivalent to like what women would enjoy as far as getting their makeup done? Because I feel like after you get a haircut, like you feel a little fresh.
Oh yeah, you're sure. You're feeling yourself. I love when the girls in my chair afterwards, they're taking all these selfies, they're posting to Instagram, doing boomerangs. Like that makes me feel good because I know like, all right, it's legit. Like they love themselves. Like they're feeling themselves.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So, what's like the most challenging makeup you think you've done? Because I've seen you do like the Halloween mask, and I've seen you do like scabs and like make somebody's nose look totally different. Like, how did you teach yourself all that stuff? And honestly, is that really hard to do?
It's definitely hard working with prosthetics and stuff. Like, but that's also something that dreamed of, is like going to Hollywood and like doing all the special effect makeup. And honestly, I just learned everything on YouTube.
Nice.
I was like obsessed with it. So I watched every single video. I followed a lot of people on Instagram that were already in the business. Even some Hollywood makeup artists. So yeah, even now I still like watch, a lot of content and stuff. Yeah. And then I just started purchasing it, 1 year, and I'm like, I'm gonna try it, and I loved it. So I love Halloween season. Like every Halloween season, I'm like, that's my biggest season. Yeah, exactly. Body painting, prosthetics, everything. So
what was the most challenging Halloween thing that you think you've done?
I would say this one client wanted to be a scarecrow, and that was probably challenging because she was like from the head to the neck and trying to create like fibers, from like the material and stuff. So, but it was fun. I love a challenge. I'll usually kind of look at reference pictures, before, and ask the client, hey, what are you looking for? And look at reference pictures and like try to imitate it. But it came out great. She loved it. She even contacted me the next year, but I couldn't do that one.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So how much does a professional makeup artist actually make on average, and how far can you really go doing makeup? Like, does it end at Hollywood or?
Oh, no. I mean, as far as the average income, it
depends.
Average price to get your makeup done, and you could like, obviously it depends on how much you're pushing yourself, right? Like you make your own income, but average like price is like anywhere from like $80 to $150 per face.
Okay.
And it also depends on like the event. So if it's like a wedding or, just a birthday outing or whatever, it depends on what you're paying. But, it definitely doesn't stop at Hollywood. Now, day and age, with the social media platforms and stuff, like you could come out with your own makeup brand if you're popular enough, if you get like sponsors Jenner. And all that. Yeah. You could come out with your own products, even, getting seen, you could become somebody's personal makeup artist on tour or, whatever. Wow. And I think that Instagram and places like Instagram, really changed the game for a lot of us because that's kind of like, it started with like just creativity and stuff. So, back in 2010, it was just out and popping on Instagram. And now it's like everybody's a makeup artist.
Oh,
and we're like,
I know.
Really?
Are you really doing? Yeah. So let's talk about that. So what sets the difference between somebody who's a professional makeup artist and somebody who just does makeup? Like, where's that line drawn?
I would definitely draw it as far as like knowledge and experience. Professional artists, obviously, they have invested time, sometimes even school, classes, certifications to understand the different dynamics of makeup, like, for different kind of skin tones and even like skin types and the skin chemistry with like different products. And somebody that is self-taught, you're only doing makeup on yourself, Are you really educating yourself on doing to me, and I'm biased because I've been in the industry, it's like self-taught makeup artists like really can't call themselves makeup artists. Like, yes, you're a makeup artist, you're artistic in makeup, but as far as, clientele, like who are you putting makeup on? Like, do you know the ins and outs of it?
Yeah. Are there certain terminologies?
Even like, so terminologies, the lingo, the products, the methods, techniques, there's just so much that goes into it. So, and that's another thing too is, you're not only paying for a service, you're paying for the 5 years of experience that I invested in my time in my life to,
it's not just your sister doing your makeup. Like, doing your makeup like for you to walk down the aisle.
I sacrificed so many family trips to put makeup,
You don't understand.
Anyway, but yeah, it's definitely different, but it's also very competitive because I feel honestly that a lot of these social media makeup artists, they learned a lot of the things that they have shown on the media platform are things that us Mac artists used to do 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So and the whole philosophy back then was teach your client. Don't just do their makeup. Like, teach them how to do that. Teach them how to do this. If they want to learn something, teach them. So we would always educate our clients. And I feel like, you know, the way girls, you probably don't know a lot about this,
but go ahead.
You know, like, I feel like
all.
the little girl, the girls and the young girls doing their eyebrows, like, that was a technique that Mac artists used to do with like concealer and, you know, carving out the brows and stuff, and a wing liner, you know, big lashes. That was something you saw at those counters. So when Instagram kind of just blew up, I was like, wait a minute, like, I used to do that. That ain't nothing new. But yeah, so it's just it's definitely competitive because everybody is good now. Like, you walk into Walmart and I see like teen girls and I'm like, damn. Like, her makeup looks good. Like,
shit's on point.
Like, but also, like, how old are you? You're like 13 doing like a whole face of makeup.
Wow.
Like, it's crazy. But yeah, that would be the difference, I guess.
So what kind of long-term goals do you have for this? Do you see yourself being a makeup artist professionally long-term, or?
I definitely do. I definitely still feel like I'm going to be doing this occasionally or maybe full-time for years to come, because I have the skill now.
Well, it's and a lot of people know, especially family members, probably like, can you do our wedding? Can you do it? Yeah.
And you know what? I'm going to bank on it. So, because it's a skill that I have.
No, obviously they're
acquired,
asking you for a reason, you know?
Right. So, definitely see it long term. But, you know, I used to dream of, like I said, like going to Hollywood and doing sets, and like that would be my full-time job. Obviously, that didn't happen, and now I have kids and stuff, and I have different dreams now. So, but that's definitely still going to be on the side hustle. You know, that's my side hustle for sure.
For sure. So, if you could do makeup for anyone in the world, who would it be and why?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Dead or alive? They can be dead or alive.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go with alive, but I've always loved like J-Lo's makeup. Okay. Obviously, she's a queen. She's glowy. She's giving us bronze goddess. You know, I would love to do it. I would probably be starstruck doing her makeup. But yeah, J-Lo. Probably her. Yeah, J-Lo.
Okay. So I want to move into a subject that might be uncomfortable for some to talk about, because in July of last year, I saw an Instagram post by you that looked like a normal makeup post. But one thing I noticed that was different is you had a hand painted on your neck with the word "Stop Trafficking." So I know you're a big advocate for putting an end to human trafficking. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how you got started? Because I saw in your post you put that in 2013 you were advocating, you kind of took a break, and now it's kind of picked back up.
Right. Yeah, so that's another one of my passions, obviously. But yeah, in 2013 is when I first got introduced to it. Back then, you never really heard any of those terms. You didn't even know what that was. Obviously, I didn't, and I was in my 20s. So I was at my church's conference, and during intermission, they have like these little booths or whatever, like for different organizations, local missions, all that stuff. And I approached this one booth, and it was the A21 campaign, which is a big campaign against trafficking. And I kind of was just like, what is that? And they explained it to me, and talking about the the sex trafficking, and giving me just like facts. That was their main focus, yeah. Giving me main facts about, you know, the average age of a trafficking victim is 11 to 14 years old.
Wow.
You know, and I was just like, what? Like, wait. Wait, hold on, what? And so they're like, yeah, and, you know, I was like, okay, how can I spread this information? Yeah. Like, can I be part of this booth right now? And they're like, yeah, actually, you know, you're kind of a member of the church, because I was working the conference. And they're like, you can help us spread it, you know, spread the pamphlets and stuff. And I was like, oh my God. So I got all my girls, you know, I had friends of the church. I got all my girls. I'm like, hey, we need to be the faces of this at this church. Yeah. So it was like me and like 5 other girls who got introduced to it. And we were like on fire, because it was
Just
like
the things
our
you heard
age.
were
It was so
crazy.
relatable too because we were young, and even when we would pull a congregation member or whoever was at the conference, and we'd pull them in with their daughter, they were stunned by the facts and stuff, and like the realization that this goes on, and we went as far as like trying to build our own little project organization or whatever, but and then we attended. Me and my girls, I'm talking about, we attended, press conferences that, the Houston officials would have against, how they're combating trafficking. So we were involved. We would we visited a safe house here in Houston. We were not part of, but like kind of spreading awareness about this organization in Houston called Elijah Rising.
Okay.
They were just starting at the time too, but we were in connection with them. So we did a lot in that one time.
So about how long was that, from 2013 to?
Probably like, I would say about a year or two.
Okay.
And then, of course, I got married, had kids. My life kind of just went a different direction. And then, surprisingly last year, 2020, this whole movement just blossomed out of nowhere. Not out of nowhere, but like, there was some
it all started coming
documentaries
to like a mainstream light about the Jeffrey Epstein thing, and all this stuff started coming out.
Yeah.
And a lot more people started getting interested.
Exactly. And there was some documentaries that were surfacing too about it. And all of a sudden everybody was talking about it. And I was like, this is what we needed, and it kind of just sparked that fire again in me. And plus having two daughters, I was like, oh hell, like I got to be front line and center, of this movement. So that's how I got started.
Nice. So can you kind of tell us like what human trafficking exactly is? Because I feel like there's a lot of people who think that it just ends at sex trafficking, but it's so much more than that, correct?
Oh, yeah, for sure. There's definitely, first off, the human trafficking industry is a $150 billion industry. And $99 billion of that is sexual exploitation.
Wow.
And so, we're talking about, like I said, average age from 11 to 14, mostly women and kids, but female kids, but also
male
boys too. Everybody. But yeah, it's a mostly sexual exploitation, and it's astonishing when you dive in and you research and you find out all that you can about it, because it really blows your mind.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have the misconception that it's like, oh, they're kidnapping your kids and locking them in cages and chaining them up.
Yeah.
No, it could be as simple as, a regular looking teenager that is being trafficked in their own home, or,
in like what sense? Like whether...
Okay, like if they live in a foster care home, that's very possible. I see it like this, like if you have an addiction, sometimes you kind of hide behind like what it is, right? So if like you're addicted to alcohol, you might be working in a bar to kind of like cover it up. So like if you're, I want to say like if you're a pedophile, like, how do you hide that? Well, you become like a foster care parent, or, I'm not saying that that's a fact and every foster care parent is like that, but those are the realities. Those are the realities. And, when I was first researching, like back then, I was told that, a lot of these, pimps or, whatever, they would coerce teenage boys in high school to like host parties and stuff, and like roofie girls and roofie their girlfriends and stuff. That way they could snatch them up. So it's like, it could look very different in any scenario. It's not just an abrupt, like, I'm going to take your kid and, but that does happen.
Yeah, that does happen too.
That does happen too. It's just, it's very tactical. The predators out there are very professional at what they do. And it's force, fraud, or coercion.
Yeah. That's got to be true because we think about like, well, how did these girls fall into that trap of like
Exactly.
Jeffrey Epstein? We'll just use that as an example of like,
Exactly.
well, how did they not know or like stand up sooner
Right.
and say this isn't right, you
Yeah.
know?
And, you know, if you look at the statistics, you know, the teenagers, they're so impressionable. And, you know, they have this thing called like Romeo pimps or gorilla pimps. And Romeo pimps are the ones that, you know, make you fall in love and like treat you, you know,
Yeah.
treat you good and buy you things. And all of a sudden now you're like sleeping with his friend. And then like, you know, then
Yeah.
it like leads on to there. But you're so in love with him and so manipulated that you don't even know that
What's really going on.
what's really going on. And then you have those, you know, more aggressive ones that like actually beat you. And like those are called like gorilla pimps, you know, beat you, threaten your life, break you in a sense mentally to where you don't leave them, you know, you're scared. So the Romeo pimps are very they can be very I would say like charming, yeah, that's the word, charming, into
getting
that
you to do
that whole trafficking thing, yeah.
So like I said earlier, it just doesn't always stop at sex, though, right? There's also forced labor and things like that. So, what country is really dealing with this the most right now?
Well, I recently read that the Philippines is really bad, and also the Latin countries and the U.S. too. The U.S. we're guilty.
Yeah.
We are guilty.
Aren't we one of the
and we're
the largest?
We're the top consumers, basically, of trafficking. So, and I also saw a documentary recently where, and I didn't even realize that this could be, you know, first you hear about, you know, people on farms, right? Like the cocoa bean farm and like all these other farms. And of course, those people are in debt to their, you know,
the person who took them in, or
the
whatever.
person, you know, so that they're in slavery, like they're trafficked and they work these farms and they're in slavery. But I did not realize and didn't think about was the illegal fishing industry.
Yeah. I actually watched that documentary because you posted about it. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so good. And I was just like, holy crap. Like, I didn't even think about that. You know, the illegal fish industry working this illegal operation are smuggling people illegally to work this operation. Like, it's all coincides with each other. And I didn't even think about that. And knowing all of these things, it's like, how can you track how many people are being trafficked?
Right.
Like, it just blows. You can't fathom it. Yeah. You can't fathom it. And the only way is, you know, even undocumented people, like, you can't keep track of them. So even the numbers that we have, it could be way more than what we already have statistically, and that's scary. Yeah. That's like,
I mean, even like somebody way closer to us, like Mexico, like, you know, the way they recruit people to help get people across the border, and they're, you know, basically coyotes. Yeah, coyotes, or basically convincing kids to carry drugs across the border when they come, and like, you know, and do all these other things, and just the fear that if they don't, that they'll kill them, you know.
Did you see that one video of the coyote kind of just dropping the kids off over the border?
Yeah,
like,
I think I saw that video.
Young kids. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I mean, I know that's a dangerous, you know, part or whatever, and I'm like, but I just wish that more of us, you know, can like just be grabbing those kids and fighting for, you know, like
standing up for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So do you feel like the whole stop human trafficking thing has kind of started to phase out a little bit? Like the hype of it? Because I feel like there was a hype for a really long time. Right. And then like Ghislaine Maxwell got arrested, and then she like disappeared. So what's up?
If you're not, well, that's a whole that's a whole
like,
other thing, because the media don't like to expose, you know, people that are being caught, especially like these high profile people. But yeah, Ghislaine Maxwell, the update on her is that I know her court case or her hearing or her sentencing got pushed back because apparently there's like new allegations now. So I just feel like they were like prolonging the process. Like, you have enough evidence already to sentence her, but you know,
they're just trying to bury
if you're not
case.
Researching these articles or these topics, you're not going to find it on the TV or mainstream media. Like, you have to keep up with it yourself. And as far as the hype, you know, I feel like the average person the average person in, anywhere, will definitely be empathetic on something that's as serious as sex trafficking, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when you first hear about it, you're like, oh no, you're fighting for it. But then I feel like the average person also is like, well, I can't do anything about it. So, I mean, I'm not going to,
regardless.
I'm not, this has been happening. Or a lot of times people think that it's a foreign issue when really,
it's happening here. We're
it's
the biggest
happening
consumer,
right
like
here.
you said.
California is the biggest hub, like number one hub for, and that's probably because of the cartel and stuff like that, the border.
So
and we are too.
Is there a way that people like can play into this without knowing that they're actually playing into it?
Like, what do you mean?
Like people who like have porn addictions or something like that. Like,
for sure. And that's honestly one thing that skyrocketed in this last pandemic is the cyber trafficking. And not only did you have people as adults on their phones more looking at these websites, but you also had the kids on their social media and on their phone and susceptible to, being prey, essentially, because, we'll go into the porn thing in a minute, but, Instagram is things like Instagram, Snapchat, things that can go away quickly, or that you can, anything your location is like turned on, these predators are so professional and smart that they know how to track, vulnerabilities, and they know how to infiltrate, your kids.
Yeah, because we hear
platforms.
all the time about apps that like, that people can tap into and watch your kids. There was like the whole TikTok thing was weird and all this other stuff.
If you look, and to be honest, like, even now, like the dances on TikTok and stuff, like they're so like explicitive sometimes, and it's just like, where has like society gone, like normalizing these things? Like, I can't even watch some of those videos because I'm like, what is she, 12? Like, showing her ass and doing the WAP dance and all this stuff. Like, I was like, I don't know. But, as far as like the porn thing, that definitely it's a big contributor because, I mean, most 80% of those people are trafficked, you know, whether they say in that they're, they're doing it on their own or not. Like I said, like you can be in it and not mentally know that you're coerced into doing it. Yeah.
But
and
you're
then
contributing to it.
But then also this new innovative thing with OnlyFans, it's like you have kids that are like wanting to do OnlyFans because it makes money. Like in a sense, if you think about it, like society has trafficked that because now you have the demand and the supply is what? More kids or more people on OnlyFans like exploiting themselves for money. Yeah. And it's the same kind of thing. And I saw this interview with this one girl, and she said, I had OnlyFans for 1 month, and a cheek shot, which is like an ass shot, was getting attention, but then they were asking for more and like asking for more and like, oh, well, I'll pay you $3,000 if you do this, or I'll pay you $10,000 if you do that. And she was like, wait a minute. This is like grooming in a sense, because she said she had to get off because they were just asking for too much. Yeah. But at the same time, she was thinking, well, damn, if I did this for this long, I could have made this much money.
Yeah, there's people making $300,000 a year off of OnlyFans. And we were talking about that with one of my friends the other day. I was like, I wonder how many of these people get invited to like go on crazy trips, or like, oh hey, like me and my buddies are going out to Key West on this crazy extravagant trip, would you like to come? And how many people are so addicted to clout and looking fancy and badass on Instagram that they go just so that way they can post pictures and get likes and things like that.
It's a dangerous The pros and cons obviously is like, if you're a business and you own your own business, it's good for, highlighting your business and stuff and exposure. But the con is very much so of that FOMO, right? Like fear of missing out. I got to do this and I need the likes or whatever. And it's very scary because like even in the Instagram chat, like you can FaceTime, right? So if you're a pedophile, I guess, like you can literally FaceTime a profile. Yeah. And if they open it and you have a the camera on you and you're naked, you're exploiting yourself to a kid or whatever. Like, that's just like, I don't know, the risks, and it's crazy because every time, because I've gone on and I've actually reported a lot of like pedophile profiles and stuff where, you know, I've kind of like suspected like, hey, this isn't right. Like even like the verbiage they use in their introduction or whatever. And Instagram will say this does not, you know, violate community guidelines. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
But you reporting about COVID does.
Yeah, exactly. But you can fact check my COVID or whatever. And oh my God, it's but that just goes to show me that it runs deep and that like people at the very highest levels are most likely involved in it too.
For sure.
You know, so it does seem like you're defeated, but at the same time, you know, if we get one person can't do anything, but like if all of us group together and we take a stand and not only, you know, we spread it on social media, but we actually volunteer at these organizations, you know, because they need people. Yeah. We can do something about it.
So
you know?
About the organization thing, I actually wanted to ask you about that. Are there organizations that people should watch out for and not work with? Because one thing I've noticed is when it comes to advocating for anything, a lot of the big name charities or nonprofits actually have ties with, you know, the government or things like that, like the American Heart Association. Yeah. Like, you know, they'll promote things that are actually unhealthy and could give you heart disease. Right. Because they're being funded by lobbyists or anything like that. So is there any kind of things that you should watch out for?
I definitely don't. I can't name organizations that I've personally, you know, found like funny business or anything, but I would say for sure try to vet them as much as you could, like research the organization in your community and make sure that, you know, they have some kind of progress in what they're doing. Also, like they're actually making a difference, and where does the money go to? And, you know, I would definitely do research and see, you know, what they're a part of. I know Elijah Rising for sure in Houston is legit because I personally have been associated with them. But as far as like names, I can't really tell you. Yeah. But yeah, that's always the case. You should always question, you know, who you're helping and what they're doing and, you know, what they represent and stuff.
So is this fact true that Houston is one of the biggest cities in America for human trafficking, if not the largest?
Yes. If not, I know Cali, as far as 2019 stats go, is the main one, but Houston is the second. I mean, it's pretty big because we have the ports, we have the border, we have, you know...
It's the first major city from the border. It's just the
first major city, yeah. And also another one is Florida, because you have the Latin communities, you know, coming in on boats and stuff and being trafficked there.
And so where are these people going? Are they coming funneling from north down into Houston and out? Or are they coming from the south up and out? Or
definitely from the south up. I mean, you have this thing. Well, I mean, as far as like, let's say the border crisis, right? Yeah. You have this misperception a little bit about like, oh, they just want to seek freedom or, you know, whatever they're coming over for. And yeah, that may be true, but most of the time, like they're trafficked, you know, women and kids coming to fulfill a need. And that's because America demands it. You know, there's a demand, so they got a supply, you know, and that's the harsh reality of it is, you know, they may be coming on, you know, for work or to become a, you know, to have a business or something. And that's what they're told. And so, like, they go along with it and they pay these coyotes to get them across the border. And then all of a sudden, oh, well, you owe us money because we got you across the border. So now you have to pay your debt by sleeping with all these people and paying us what you make, you know. And that's the massage parlors, that's the spa clinics, the stress clinics, they're all over. They're all like over
hidden
Houston.
In plain sight too.
Hidden in plain sight, right under our noses. 59 and Bel Air is like a big area where they're just like on every corner. Wow. And
so what things could we look for, like, to kind of notice or know?
Well, Usually, I mean, it just says massage or it says spa clinic or it, and they also have tinted windows, very much
like where you walk in and it's
where you
can't see the back.
And even, some massage parlors, like those 100 stickers, like in support of the police department or whatever, like some of them will disguise themselves under that. Like, hey, like we're legit. The police knows about us, like whatever. But a lot of times, a lot of times it's not, it's not true. It's just a facade. It's just a charade or whatever. And, but yeah, they're all over. And if you are local in Houston, I would encourage you to check out Elijah Rising only because they offer a van tour and it's free.
Wow.
And it's like a 2-hour van tour and they go, you get into like this white unmarked van with tinted windows and they literally show you the places where like, hey, this is a trafficking parlor right here. Yeah. And the only reason they know this is because they do like,
they have insiders.
They do
recon work.
Recon, raids, all that stuff. Yeah. And you would be so surprised that like, I mean, this massage parlor is right by a donut shop. Like, what the heck? Like, it's right in front of us. And it's not like you can just go in and like...
get a massage.
Or even get the girls out. Like, it's a process, too. Yeah. Now you have to get police involved and professionals and, and then it's like, man, like, but then it's like, I mean, the good thing is that I have seen, here in Houston, more raids, being headlined.
Too. There's been a lot like, in the news.
And that's from like just human trafficking, forced labor. You saw like the other day I saw like a 90-person raid in somebody's house. They were holding like 90 people.
Yeah, I saw.
And it was all like men and stuff. So that's obviously that's like forced labor.
Yeah.
So I am thankful that whatever we did or whatever we made loud in 2020 is getting attention and like people are, calling in like, hey, this is suspicious and calling the police and stuff. And that's really what you can do as far as like a community member. Like if you see like unmarked vehicles or like, a lot of people congregating or, I would just call in any suspicious activity because you just never know. You might be saving lives and stuff. So
not even know it.
Yeah.
So about that, what is... because like you said, somebody that might not want to get super involved into like an organization and do all this kind of work, what would be like something that everyday person could start doing to kind of help combat this?
Number one, I would definitely research or get knowledge on what to look out for. Okay. I mean, and the average is like, okay, so like Operation Underground Railroad has a class that you can take. And it's like an online, if you watch this video for an hour, you get like a certification. But it definitely educates you on what to look out for. So like if you see, let's say, a young girl in Walmart or somewhere public, but she's like disheveled or she seems like timid or she has like this older person by her or she can't be left alone or you like if you just suspect something you can it's hard because like the direction you want to go is like you want to kind of talk to her and be like, hey, are you okay? Yeah. But then if she's like, oh, I'm good, or if she's timid or if she's scared, like you obviously know something's up. Yeah. And it's just a matter of that or, okay, I'll tell you one thing. So we went to Walmart, me and Charlie, my husband. And there was this, we were walking in the toy area. And as we were coming back, we saw this old man looking into the aisle, right? Yeah. We didn't see who was in the aisle, but we saw this old man looking into the aisle saying, I'm going to get you. And we thought like he was a grandpa, like old, so we were like, okay, it was probably like his grandkids or something. And we approached the scenario and we walked past the aisle and there was this lady with her 3 girls, Hispanic. So I know they weren't related because he was white. I mean, whatever. But I know it was like, she was like really like looking at him like scared, like, who are you? And he kept saying like, I'm going to get you, whatever. And I was like, what the hell is going on? Because her girls look scared. She was like grabbing onto her baby, and she was, you know, she kind of was like, you need to go away, you know? And so he was like, you know, saying things to her. And I told Charlie, I said, we are not leaving this girl's sight. We're not leaving her sight. Yeah. So we let her, you know, go where she was going, and we were trailing behind her because I'm like, I can't consciously leave this woman and her 3 girls alone knowing that man is still in this store. Yeah. Because I don't know who he's with. I don't know what he's trying to do.
Like how big their operation might be.
Exactly. So, and Charlie was like game. He was like, I got my knife on me. Yeah. I was like, no, I'm serious. And I was big ass pregnant. You know, I was like 8 months pregnant. Yeah. I was like, I didn't care. So we kind of followed her, and we're kind of looking around too, like for the other guy. And he ended up, we saw him at the cash register, and we saw him check out and leave. So I'm like, okay, she's good, because she was over here by the clothes. And I'm like, things like that. Like if you see any suspicious stuff going on, like, you know, be on alert. And because also too, there's it's not only men who traffic, it's women too. Madams, they call it madams. And you know, sometimes because you're a woman, the kids are like, oh, it's a woman, it's okay, and they'll go and talk to this stranger, and then guess what, she's walking out hand in hand with your little boy, because she's a nice lady, you know, and then your kid's missing. So it's like just being aware of your surroundings, calling in any suspicious activity. If you have the guts to go up to somebody and be like, hey, are you okay? And they're acting scared, or they say, hey, yes, you know, then act on it. But, you know, I would definitely research on like those tactics and like how to distinguish, like, okay, is this like a trafficking victim or whatever? So.
And you said the video you can watch is on what?
Oh, it's Operation Underground Railroad.
Operation Underground.
On their website.
It's on their website? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So as far as just like also sharing and exposing and all that stuff on social media, is that all good stuff to do?
Oh, yeah.
All these hashtags, is that worth everybody's time?
Yeah. I mean, social media is good for shining the light on anything. So, I mean, if anything, you can share a post or share a headline or, you know, create a hashtag and like, you know, whatever, like that's the least you can do. Yeah. And also talk to your close circles, talk to your family members, talk to your close friends about it. Like, you know, because it's a thing, and, you know, it takes a village to raise kids, and it's going to take a village to protect these kids. Yeah. So, you know, get your friends involved, you know, spread awareness, and like that's really the least you can do, you know. And then obviously actually volunteering is the best thing you can do. Nice. Is, you know, getting involved physically.
Huh. All right. So I mean, we appreciate having you. We appreciate you coming out and giving us more information on human trafficking.
Yeah,
I feel like this won't be our last time sitting across this table and talking about it, because I'm super interested now. Yeah. And we'll talk more after this. But if people want to learn more, like, you know, how to hire you as a makeup artist, or to even get involved into this fight for human trafficking, where's the best place for them to kind of find you or find different organizations that they can get involved in?
I would say the best place to contact me for either is my Instagram. It's Rocky Lynn MUA, and it's Rocky spelled Rocky, LYNN MUA, and it's all together. And because I post a lot of makeup content, but I also post a lot of trafficking content on my stories and you know, different things. So you could contact me through there.
All right, nice. And any other organizations you want to shout out to, or?
Okay, yes. So Elijah Rising, obviously, because I've been talking about it. But also, I have a friend who, and I always like to plug her because she's doing amazing things. NatalieDenise.com. She is a huge advocate for anti-human trafficking, and she runs also a trafficking Instagram called at the Daily Traffic with a K at the end, and it's basically just any headline having to do with trafficking, because the mainstream media won't do it.
Right, somebody has to.
And then also this shirt, she sells shirts.
Nice.
Which 100% of proceeds go to funding her her interests and her little organization, her projects and stuff. So.
And so that shirt can be found on her website?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Shit. Well.
Human trafficking is not a conspiracy theory.
Definitely is not. If you like what you heard today and would like more information on when will we be dropping more episodes or to stay up to date with our movement, please follow us on Instagram at LifeWOLimits1. Also, please subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, and SoundCloud. We appreciate you all listening. Till next time, stay limitless. Peace.